Junko took this as a chance to try to escape. She crawled down the stairs from the bedroom and reached the phone downstairs. She picked up the phone and began to call the police. The phone rang, and an officer picked up. Just as she was about to speak, Hiroshi came up behind her and grabbed the phone from her hands. He put the receiver to his ear and said, "I dialed by mistake," hanging up the phone. She was then pulled back in room. She was in complete terror as she would obviously be severely punished for this. And she was correct. They punished her by holding her down and taunting her by waving a kill-rated phone at her. Then they punished her entire body, mainly her legs, and locked her and set her on fire. Afterwards, she started convulsing. The boys told everyone that she was faking it and set her on fire once again, only to find out she was back. Somehow, from this point on, she began begging her parents to kill her. They wouldn't grant her that fate. After being set on fire, they discovered a new one. The boys would hold her head against the concrete while the others would jump on it. One can only imagine what kind of pain and damage this would have caused. After about 30 days, Junko was no longer able to urinate properly. She had suffered severe damage to her genitals after they had been burned with cigarette lighters. She also had various foreign objects inserted into her, many sharp objects. Even fireworks had been inserted. Fireworks were not limited to experience, as they were also inserted into her anus, nose, and ears as well. She was left with eardrum damage so severe that she was dead. Her hands and feet were so damaged that she could hardly move. At it took her over an hour to crawl. A later report showed that her brain size was greatly reduced. Due to her hellish appearance, the boys no longer found her dead. They used the same strategy again to abduct the wrong right that they had seen when the was off the way home from work. During these 44 days, Junko Furuta was forced to undergo unspeakable torture. Some of what was done to her includes being raped many times every single day and night. More than 100 men are believed to have been. Sometimes she was raped by up to 12 different attackers in a single day. Constant humiliation. She was forced to be left naked most of the time. Many of the men who raped her also urinated on her. She was forced to pleasure herself in front of the attackers for their entertainment. She was beaten physically every day. She was beaten with golf clubs, iron rods, bamboo sticks, She had dumbbells dropped all over her body and her head stomped against the ground, face first. She had hot wax poured all over her face with a focus on her eyelids. Her eyelids were also burned with cigarettes. She was violated in a law
The gate of Devon is offline. Please reschedule further testing until power has been restored.
Bottles, both broken and unbroken, iron bars, scissors, roasted onions, chicken skewers, and more. She was given only the strict bare minimum of food and water. At times, she was forced to eat cockroaches and drink urine. She had fireworks put into all of her orifices, leaving damage and severe burns. She had her left nipple ripped off by a pair of pliers. She would be tied up flat on the floor and had dumbbells dropped all over her body. The drops on her abdomen were so hard that it caused her to lose all her organs. She was hung from the ceiling and used as a chair. She was shoved into a freezer and kept there for hours. Her eyelids were burned with hot wax and light. Her breasts were stabbed with sewing needles, and the needles often being left inside. Her genitals were burned in cigarettes and fingers. She had a hot, red light bulb inserted into her vagina and moved around until it shattered. By the end, she looked like a movie that ripped herself. It was hard to even make out her facial features. Her body was severely damaged with burns. It smelled as if she were already rotting. She was continuously heavily bleeding from her genitals from all her pores. She breathed, struggling to breathe. On day 40, January 1st, Junko woke up to New Year's Day alone. She spent the day begging to be killed, completely ignored. 3 days later, on the fateful day of the 4th of January, the boys challenged Junko to a solitary poster. Somehow, even in her condition, she won't do it. This infuriated her, treated her to a severe beating and then poured lighter fluid over her arms, her stomach, and finally her face, dumping lighter fluid even into her eyes. Then they put a cable to her face with knife blood. She reached in the cable to put out the flames, but didn't ever stop. This final torture remained 2 hours. Already having been in the shock. Within 24 hours to report him. The boys all rushed over to the house, fearing what would certainly be a life sentence. The boys died. But they didn't. Their captors then put her body in a 55-gallon oil drum and filled it to the rim. A small bit of Junko's long hair was poking on the top of the car. Something more careful. They disposed of the barrel and constructed a side of the coat. Seeing that close now, you can imagine something like that. There was originally a good chance that the police would never find out who did this. There weren't any clues to go on. Luckily, Hiroshi is a boy. While he was being questioned by the police later involving a basic gang of unrelated 19-year-old woman, he got confused and thought the police were talking about Junko, since were so similar, and thinking that one of the other boys must have already confessed, he stayed to be arrested. He realized his mistake, but it was already too late. Joe Ogura had already been arrested for another unrelated sexual assault case. He was also arrested for Junko's case as well. The other boys were then arrested within the next few days. Later, the drum was finally opened and the concrete was broken, revealing Junko's long-deceased body. Junko's family was notified and told what happened to her. When her mother heard the details of what was done, she begged. She ended up in a long-term stay. An autopsy was performed by Junko, revealing a true horror of what happened. Small bottles were found still stuck in her womb. It was revealed that she was pregnant, already dead. Her face was so completely mutilated that she had to be identified. Being that they were juveniles, the court withheld the names of the factors. But journalists from Shukan Bunshi magazine were able to find out exactly who they were and publish the names following, stating that they were human and therefore didn't deserve to be names. Nobody really contested this. As we know, they were Hiroshi Yano, Joe Ogura, also Nobuharu Minato, who was 16 at the time, and Yasushi Yamada, 17. All four of these monsters were obviously tried. During each trial, it was pretty common for onlookers to pass out upon even with all that they had done, they didn't really show any semblance of it. Despite all of this, they received extremely little citizens. They were actually still being tried as juveniles, but after much backlash, they were changed to adult status. Still, after being upgraded to adult status, they received unbelievably light sentences. Something that, to this day, continues to amaze me. authorities somehow were not charged with murder. Instead, they received a charge causing bodily injury. In Japan, the juvenile court system is far more focused on rehabilitation than something that we remember. Usually this means that juvenile has been relatively good. Do not know that to buy the sexual sentences. They got 9 years. And Joe got 3 years. One sad thing is that these monsters actually received so low that something. By the time of this recording, every single one of the little boys is out of jail and maybe 3 of them were in jail for Hiroshi, the ringleader, was sentenced to 17 years. He tried to appeal, but as kind of a fuck you, the judge actually upped his sentence to 20 years. The same thing happened to 2 of the other boys. After seeing an nasty court, they decided not to play. However, they all ended up getting out long before their sentences were over. And I bet you're wondering if they continued to commit crimes after they got out of jail. After Nobuhara Minato died, he changed his first name to Shinji. In 2006, he got married to a woman from Romania and had a daughter. They soon divorced and custody of the child. Minato couldn't stay away from Romania too long. He was eventually arrested again for the attempted murder of his daughter. The man had noticed Minato's staring to which he asked, Minato came very quickly. The man then got his car. It escalated as the victim tried to get back to his car. Minato slashed his neck with a knife. The police were called aside and they rushed the victim. He was soon caught and arrested. He denied attempted murder, saying he only intended to kill them. The case is unquote. Joe Ogura was 9. He also ended up changing his name to Joe. He actually had the gall to brag about his role in the kidnap and torture. His father had vowed to give their entire life savings to Junko's family out of shame. But Joe ended up taking this money and using it for himself to live a very extravagant lifestyle. Joe's mother wasn't much better, as she actually vandalized Junko's grave, saying that it was Junko who ruined her son's life. Joe actually managed to find someone to date him.
Gate of offline.
Chinese woman, but
reinsert authorization command for
afterwards, he
reactivation.
started dating another woman. He went back to prison in July 2004 for 7 years for beating a guy he thought was luring his girlfriend away from him. He had kidnapped and beaten the man for 4 hours. He proudly told the victim that he had killed before and would do it again. He was sentenced to 4 years in prison. But in 2009, he was once again free, and he is still free to this day. The ringleader, Hiroshi Miyano, went right back into his previous gang activity immediately after being released from prison. He was arrested for fraud at some point after this, but didn't see jail time for it. Right now, it seems that he's living a fairly normal life.
Hallucination might have